we're looking into springtime makeup, I'm going to be using the beautiful tinted moisturiser from Chantecaille. Just taking the tinted moisturiser through the centre of the face first and blending out. And I think I would go as far to say that compared to other tinted moisturisers on the market, the Chantecaille tint does give, you know, I'd say kind of moderate coverage for a tinted moisturiser. It's not so sheer that you don't see anything, but you've got all the benefits of skincare, moisture, and what you achieve is a base that looks healthy, fresh, radiant, but a bit of colour, a little bit of coverage, but nothing too strong. And I do think that that's probably for most of us, as we segue into our spring summer makeup, that's probably where our first change starts to come about, don't you think? I don't know about you, but in the winter months, I love a little bit more makeup. I love slightly fuller coverage, I think, because my skin doesn't feel quite as healthy as it does in the springtime. But come spring, I want to look luminous, I want to look fresh. I maybe don't want to cover quite so much. So in which case a tinted moisturiser is like a safe bet. You know me, I always like to go in once I've laid down the product with my fingers, just to help blend and work the product into the skin for the most skin-like finish. This is the Hourglass Vanish Concealer. If you haven't tried it, you must. It's certainly full coverage. You get lots of bang for your buck. It's brilliant under the eye, but it's also brilliant on the complexion. So say there are some days where you've got minimal time, but you want a little bit of something, do your skincare, do a bit under the eye, do a couple of cat's whiskers on your cheek, a bit on your chin, blend and go. And it's a really great kind of everything based product. But we're gonna use it today under the eye, but also just as a little bit of a skin perfector. Okay, so with the sepia, I'm still pretty old school, so I always start right in the inner corner of the eye, because that's where a lot of us carry most of our darkness. Most of us, if you've got a shadow under the eye in the inner corner, you'll probably have it on the side of the bridge of the nose. So make sure you cancel out the shadow there. Then I always like to take it into that kind of trough area. And then yes, of course, if you've got a bit of discoloration in the outer corner, place some there. Then when you've got your concealer in place, you just dab. I prefer to dab with a ring finger to work the concealer into the skin. Now you can, of course, just keep brushing and blending with your brush. You can use a sponge, but I find that the warmth of the skin is the best tool for really working concealer in. Someone who, like me, loves a bit of bronzer but wants it to look as natural as possible, then I'd highly recommend using a cream-based formula. Quick thing, because it will just melt into all the other cream-based products you've used and help to create that light, fresh, luminous base, rather than layering too many powder-based products on top of each other, which can then, even though you're adding things that you're thinking are adding warmth and luminosity, actually they can make the skin look a bit flat. Now I kept the bronzer quite high on the cheek. That's because we're looking to create more of a sun-kissed finish than a contoured finish. So keep it quite nice and high. If you want to add a little bit of a contour, you can do. Later we may well do, I've got the lovely Westman Atelier stick, and I would take that underneath the cheekbone, but I'm just going to show you how I very gently contour the nose, and all I'm doing is just using whatever excess product I have on my brush. Let's do some eyebrows, shall we? Anastasia Beverly Hills, she just knows brows. She knows brow shaping, she knows brow product. So I love to always start my brows now with her clear brow gel. So I used to always do the brow gel after I'd done my product. Now I do them first. And I was taught this by my friend Crystal. And she said, but Hannah, get them in the shape you want first, then you can fill in any gaps. Dry, I'm going to go back with the Brow Wiz and just do a couple of feather-like strokes just to fill in slightly. Freya's got great brows already. Actually, I will do a little bit of powder now. I don't want to do loads. This is the Givenchy, it's like a colour correcting powder. Prism Libre, it's called. Touch through the centre, a touch under the eye, and just a touch either side of the nose. So these are really the key areas that I look to powder. When it comes to the side of the face and the cheekbones, actually, I like the glow. So I'm probably not gonna worry too much about setting there at this point. This is the Rosy Glow blush from Dior. Now it went viral because Kylie Jenner loves it, apparently. So it's been out of stock forever, so I bought myself one today. Very excited. But I have waxed lyrical about blue base pink blusher my entire career. I fell in love with it because my boss Bobby Brown was obsessed with it. Now, no matter your skin tone, no matter your age, a bright blue base pink is going to make you look fresh and healthy, no matter your skin tone. So again, getting some into my brush, tapping it into the skin so I know that all the blush shade is in the brush, not sitting on the tip of the brush. And I'm just going to very gently dust over the top of the cheek. Now what I tend to do, oh my gosh, how cute is that? I absolutely love it. And it's completely matte, which is joyous. You can always add your shimmer later. So I love to start with the matte. Saying that, it can still be worth, if you've got access to a clean brush, just going over your blush, just to make sure it's nicely blended. And again, that's something I've learned throughout my career, is that every stage, if you go black and blend it, you'll thank yourself later. Whether that's your bronzer, your blusher, your highlight. This is the beautiful bronze palette. I'm starting with a taupey tone, just close for me. If in doubt, sweep a taupey tone through the crease. It pretty much never fails. So I'm using a nice domed shape brush, still from Spectrum. And I'm just warming. Eyes open for me, darling. Oh, lovely, through the crease of Freya's eye. So I'll keep the crease nice and matte. This is of course like a bronzer tone. So if in doubt, if you want to keep your makeup nice and monochromatic, just do this very technique but with your bronzer. It's one of my favourite minimal effort, maximum impact everyday makeups. But just keeping a soft matte tone through the crease. Extending slightly. Freya's got a beautiful open eye socket. If you are not quite as blessed with the same eye shape and your eyes are hooded a bit like mine, just be sure that you don't take your shadow down. So the windscreen wiper motion can feel very natural, but you run the risk of bringing shadow too low on the outer corner of the eye. If your eye's slightly hooded, you want to head out towards the end of your eyebrow. So it might feel a bit straight, but trust me, you'll then ensure that this outer corner of the eye doesn't have too much shadow and you will get a more lifted finish. Take a smaller brush and just do the same colour along the lower lash line, so look up for me. So I do love to line both top and lower lash lines, but when it comes to the lower lash line, I'll always opt for something actually quite light and keep it quite thick and smudgy, only because if you go too dark too soon on your lower lash line liner, it can look quite hard and a bit dark, and yeah, especially in photographs actually I've noticed that even if you think it doesn't look too dark in real life, in photographs it can look a bit dark, which can in turn make the eyes look a bit small. I suppose that's the key concern. So always start with something quite light. Make sure you take it quite low so it's nice and smudgy. You can always go back in later with a significantly darker shade and just nip that right underneath the lashes. So go in lighter to start with, then I'm going to, where am I going to go with these colours? They're so pretty. I think we're going spring. Let's go for something slightly more coppery, shall we? And it's a soft metallic close, so I'm just going to press that with my ring finger onto the lower part of the lid. So I don't need this all over. We've got that beautiful soft matte crease with a kind of taupey tone. So we're just getting a little bit of a metallic glimmer just over that movable part of the lid with the metallic colour. I used the pad of my finger again just to lay down the metallic shade, because again I just find the softness of the skin, the warmth of the skin helps to lay down a metallic shadow that little bit better than a brush. A little bit of something through the brow. So the Brow Wiz I love because it's so delicate and fine, and actually Freya needs really very little. I'm just going to do the tiniest bit at the base of the head of the brow on either side. That can just help make the brows look really nice and neat. But just be sure that as you do that, use a really light hand, because what you don't want to find or don't want to create is kind of thick lines of brow pencil underneath, because it can again just look a little bit heavy. But just a tiny little, very gentle back and forth at the base of the head of the brow can help really neaten it up. And then just follow the direction of the growth of the hair and just fill in where you can see any gaps left by your gel. And the joy, I think, of this technique, kind of filling in post-gel, is that you don't end up with a brow that's too heavy. I think some of us can get a bit excited with our brow pencils and end up creating something that's altogether a little bit too dominant, because that's the problem. If a brow ends up being too dark, it then becomes slightly too dominant and can steal focus from other areas of the face. But let's create some really good drama, shall we? Look down with some volumizing mascara. What I will say is you'll notice here that I've not done any eyeliner. Feel free to blink, by the way, Freya, if you need to. I love liner, absolutely love, love, love it. I'm wearing liner today, but there's something to me, look down, darling, that signals spring, that signals fresh, lightweight makeup, if actually you let the lashes do all the talking. So I'm just gonna make sure that we frame Freya's eyes here with a really healthy amount of mascara. By all means, adding eyeliner would be a way to elevate this and take it from day to night. But for fresh, radiant spring makeup, just try, if you're an avid eyeliner wearer, try omitting it from your routine and see how it makes you feel. Generally tend to turn my wand of my mascara vertically when doing the lower lashes. I just find it gives me a little bit more control and I'm less likely to get mascara on the skin behind the lashes. Let's do a little bit O-lip. Let me just, again, I'll do this with my clients, so the lips had time to absorb all of that lip balm. I'll then just tap some of the lip balm off. And actually I'm gonna finger press this lipstick. So it's a liquid lipstick from Huda Beauty. These are the very best if you don't want your lipstick going anywhere. I know they've been reformulated recently as well, haven't they? So they're slightly more comfortable to wear. This is the shade Venus. I was wearing Bombshell earlier. I'm just gonna finger press that on, and once these lipsticks dry, that is it. They're not going anywhere. So for special occasions or parties, or if you're just someone who doesn't like topping up your makeup, then I can't recommend these liquid lipsticks highly enough. A brush, just to perfect the edge a little. These also work really well if you want to do that kind of buffed edge look, and that's that kind of slightly undone lipstick look, and you might use a fluffy brush to do it. It's slightly more fashion, darling, but this is just a really nice, everyday wearable, neutral tone. That's dried, but it doesn't look completely powdery, does it? But I'm just going to finish with a little bit of Rodial lip oil, so they look nice and plump. And then one of my all-time favourite makeup products is the Westman Atelier Peau De Rose highlighter. Most beautiful, soft, creamy highlight. It comes in a kind of peachy colour, Peau de Pêche as well. I just love how the Peau de Rose translates. Just get a tiny bit on the pad of your finger and just press anywhere you want the light to linger. It's the Hourglass Veil Setting Spray. So not only will it help hold your makeup in place, it gives you a really soft focus finish. So there we go. Soft, pretty, springtime makeup.